Everyone, we are live. What's up? This is the live Blender Q&A and tutorial. Got something in my eye, so that's great. Good way to start it. What's up, guys? This is the live Blender Q&A and tutorial. Again, if you have any questions regarding anything in Blender, anyone here? What's up, Gutam? We're just starting, brother. What's up, everyone? This is the live Blender Q&A and tutorial. So once again, if you have, I'm modeling right now. What's up, Miniman? What you modeling, brother? What's up, Xeno, Astro? Hey, what's up, Mr. Snow? Good to see you again. What's up, everyone? What's up, Gutam? What's up, guys? This is a live Blender Q&A and tutorial. So if you have any questions whatsoever regarding anything in Blender, you could ask it. We're going to do a live Q&A, and then we're going to do a live tutorial. The tutorial is going to be regarding sculpting. Once again, guys, join in the Zoom. How are you? I'm doing good, Zeno. How about you? I want to join your Zoom. Join in the Zoom, man. I just saw a post of someone burning a kitten. Well, that's weird. I'm modeling a tank. It's my first thing about a tutorial. I'm kind of making it up. Very cool, man. Zeno says, what? Yeah, you get some really weird shorts and stuff on YouTube and Instagram sometimes. Yeah. Want to finish up yesterday's work, Mr. Snow says. All right, guys, this is a live Blender Q&A and tutorial. So once again, if you have any questions regarding anything in Blender, go ahead and ask it, and then we will do a live tutorial. All right. So if anyone has any questions, by the way, guys, we're live on Instagram, Kick, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. By the way, guys, feel free to join in the Zoom. You'll be able to see in full screen and ask questions, and it will be much better. What do you think about Unreal Engine? I think it's awesome. I've never used it myself, but it is awesome. I know Unreal Engine and Unity, a lot of people are creating some really cool games using both of those. All right. Does anyone have any questions in Blender regarding anything in Blender? It could be shader nodes, compositing nodes, geometry nodes, modeling, texturing, animation, whatever you want. What's up, Shannon? And again, guys, there are no stupid questions. We all start at the beginning. So if your questions are simple, it's totally fine. Excuse me. So if your questions are simple, what's up, Ab? Just go ahead and you could ask them, even if they are simple. It's all good. Gutam says, tell us about separate nodes. So you want to learn about different kinds of nodes. Which kind? Shader nodes or geometry nodes? On the landscape add-on. Greenery on the landscape add-on. Oh, yeah. Ab was asking about that. Let's do that quickly because Ab was asking that yesterday. I watched a movie earlier. It's called Repo, the Genetic Opera. I recommend it, although it's strange. Interesting. How do I watch from the perspective a camera? How do I watch from the perspective of a camera? I'm not sure. Perspective of a camera. Are you talking about watching the live stream? Shader nodes. All right. So first, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show how to distribute greenery or trees on the mountain on the landscape add-on, and then I will go over some shader nodes. And Icy, are you talking about how to see it in Zoom, or glad you didn't say by mail? Exactly. All right, guys. So I'm going to show how to add greenery on the Ant landscape add-on. We're going to use geometry nodes for this. So here, if you're not familiar, in Blender, under Edit and Preferences, under Add-ons, you can enable the Ant landscape add-on. So just search for A.N.T, and you can see we have Ant landscape add-on. Once again, guys, on Instagram, join in the Zoom. You'll be able to see much easier and better and in full screen. All right, so I'm also going to enable the sapling tree generator. I'm sure you guys can hear the dog barking in the background, so that I could add a tree. So over here now, I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift A. We're going to go to Mesh, and we're going to add a landscape right here. So we're going to add the landscape. And again, Ab's question is how to generate or add greenery or trees on the landscape. So right here, we have this. And in fact, I'm just going to use particle systems instead of the geometry nodes because it'll be easier as far as dictating where we want to put it. So over here, let's hit Shift A, and under curve, I'm going to add my tree right here. So I'm going to add a tree, and let's say I want to give it leaves. So I'm going to enable the show leaves right here. All right, very cool. So here I have my tree or whatever kind of bush that you want to distribute on the landscape. I'm also going to select the tree. I'm going to go to Object. I'm going to convert it to a mesh. And I'm going to select the leaves and join these together by Control J. So now it's all one single object. Then on the landscape, again, I'm showing how to distribute grass or trees or whatever you want on your landscape. I'm going to add a particle system. So in the particle systems, let's click on plus to add a new particle system. And we're going to change it to hair. And there we go. We got a hairy mountain. Brilliant. All right. So obviously we don't want hair. We want the tree added here instead. So we're going to go to render. And here we're going to change it from path. We're going to render it as an object right here. And then for the instance object, again, this is the object that it's going to instance on here. Guys, remember, an instance is basically just a duplicate of an object. So this will duplicate whatever object we select here. So I'm going to click this little eyedropper and select the tree right here. And now you can see that we have the trees right there. Now, there's way too many of them. Also, they're way too big. So first, let me put the number of particles down. I'm just going to put it to 20 for now. And they are way too big. So here under the scale, I could scale these down like so. Now, right here, you'll notice that they are not rotated the right way. So first of all, on the tree itself, we want to make sure that the origin point is at the bottom of the tree, which it is. So that's good. Then back on the particles, if we enable advanced, we now get this rotation tab here. We could enable the rotation tab, and we could change this from velocity hair to normal right here. And right here, maybe I don't want it normal. Maybe I'm going to change it to, let's see which one I want. I'm going to change it to the global X right here. So right here, it's going to go again on the global X axis. So now we have our trees standing up like that. Now, obviously, they are still way too big, so I could put the scale. I could, in fact, scale my actual tree down. So I could scale this down like so. And let me bring it down. And now let's say we only want trees towards the bottom of the mountain. What if the origin point is not on the tree? Well, I would put the origin point on the tree because, I mean, where would your origin point be? I would, if you're, oh, you're asking how to do it if your origin point is not on the tree? So I would go into, hold on one second. The dog's barking. Give me a second. All right, sorry about that. Dog's barking. So if your origin is not on the tree, I would just go into edit mode. Alt left click the bottom vertices here. Shift S, cursor to selected. And then in object mode, right click, set origin, origin to 3D cursor to put your origin there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and go into edit mode. So right here, if I only want the trees down here, I could go to the vertex or object data right here, or the mesh data, I should say. I could add a new vertex group, and in edit mode, I could hit the C key, bring up my brush tool, and I could just select wherever I want there to be trees. So let's say I just want trees right here. I could then click assign. So it's going to assign these vertices to this group. And then in the particle system over here, all the way down under under vertex groups, not field weights, under density, I could select the group. So now the trees, and I could increase the number to, let's say, 300. Now the trees will only be there and not on the top of the mountain. Let me know if that helps, my friend. Let me go back to Instagram over here. Where's my Instagram? Can you guys hear me? Oh, hold on one second. Something's not working. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Does that make sense, Ab? Let me know if that helps. And so I would just create a vertex group with basically add a particle system and then add a vertex group wherever you want those particles or trees. And on your particle system, you could also increase this scale randomness. It will give the trees a random scale. And also in the rotation, you could randomize the rotation by increasing the randomize right here and the randomize phase as well. Now, I don't like this rotation, so let me get a different rotation over here. Let me see. Maybe I want the object. Let me see which one I want. So maybe not that one. I could get the object X and kind of adjust the rotations a little bit. So again, you could feel free to tweak around the setting. Yeah, it makes sense. Particle system method seems to be better than geometry. Well, geometry nodes system is great too, but yeah, particle system makes it much easier, especially with the vertices. You could also go into weight paint mode, and with weight painting, you could just paint wherever you want trees, and you could see that here it's just going to procedurally or in real time add the trees wherever you paint in weight paint mode, which is pretty cool. So here you could kind of more intuitively decide where the trees go. And if you hold down control, it will remove the paint and you could remove the trees. So there you go. All right. What's up, Mouthpiece? What's up? Does anyone have any questions on that? I got to go, but I love your daily Blender tutorials. They are very helpful. Anytime, Mini Man. Good to see you again, brother. All right. Does anyone have any questions regarding that? Hey, Alex, what's up, Mouthpiece? Otherwise, we'll move on to shader nodes because Gutan was asking about shader nodes. All right. I guess we're good on that. Next, let's get into some shader nodes. So right here, let me add a plane right here. And I'm going to go to shading over here. And over here, let me minimize this. By the way, guys, let me know if I'm going too fast or too slow. So, all right, we're going to get into shading nodes. By the way, guys, as I go over this, if you have questions on what a certain setting does, what something means, feel free to ask it. It's totally fine. Again, I want you to understand this. So, I'm trying to see what node we could go over. Let's see. Let me see what we could do. Trying to think of what we could, well, I guess we'll do a simple one. We'll do like a checker kind of texture. This one is very simple, but it's good because a lot of times people are overwhelmed by nodes. But so right here in the shader editor, I have a new node setup added. And right here, I'm going to go to material preview. So we could just hit Z and go to material preview right here. So then here, obviously we have our principled BSDF. I'm going to hit Shift A and I'm going to get a checker texture right here. Now the checker texture, if I plug this factor into the base color, you can see it's going to, as the name implies, give us a checker texture. Now this can be great for obviously a chessboard or a tiled kitchen floor or what have you. Now on this checker texture, we have two different colors right here, which we could dictate. We have color 1 and color 2, as you could see. So obviously color 1 is going to change and influence the first color. Now right here, it's not updating. Let me make sure to let me hit Control T, add a mapping texture in 4.1 or what, but it's not changing the colors. All right, that's interesting. I guess we're not looking at the checker texture because we're wondering about. Separate nodes. Oh, you mean like the separate XYZ and that one, the separate and combine XYZ? Is that the one you're talking about? I'm assuming that's the one you're talking about. So Gutam is okay, awesome. Yeah, those are great nodes. Oh, and you said that before. Tell us about separate nodes. All right. So guys, we're going to go over the separate and combine XYZ node, which is very, very useful. Let me go ahead and add in a cube instead of a plane. So I'm going to add a cube right here. All right, guys, and let me know if you have any questions as I go over this. So I'm going to click on New, and I'm going to add a separate XYZ node right here. Now here, with Node Wrangler, if I Control Shift left click it, you can see it's going to preview it. Now, right now, it doesn't have anything because we don't have anything plugged into the vector. Yes, let's review that. I'm tuned in. Mouthpiece says. The particle effect when, let's say, a jet flies by water and the water or sand. Yeah, I could do that after if I have time here. I'll do this and then I'll get to that ab. So right here, I'm going to hit Control T with Node Wrangler to add a mapping and texture coordinate. And I'm going to plug that in. All right. So let's first take a look at the texture coordinate node quickly. In fact, I'm going to remove the mapping node because we don't need it and it will just add confusion for now. Let's take a look at the texture coordinate quickly because this will make more sense. So here, if I Control Shift left click to generated, you can see that we get this right here. Let me also remove, the background because it's a little distracting. So right here, let me get back the shader editor. Right here, we have it set to generated. So with it set to generated, right here, you can see if I go into front view, we have basically our texture generation or our X, Y, and Z coordinates of the texture right here. If I go into front view, so 1 on the numpad, you can see that we have 0 right here, which is black. Again, remember guys, black is 0. So we have 0 right here. From here to here, you could see that we go from 0 to 1 on the x-axis because you could see it's going from black to red. And again, red is the x-axis, so it's going from 0 to 1 on the x-axis. Then right here, we have 0 to 1. Can you guess which axis? I feel like this is Blue's Clues. Yep, on the z-axis. So we have 0 to 1 on the z-axis. And you can see right here because it's blue. And if I hit 3 or Control 3 to go into side view, right here it goes from 0 to 1 on the y-axis right here, as you can see from the green. And then all the in-between colors are those in-between values. So when you mix red and blue, you're going to get this purple. As you can see, as it goes diagonally, it's getting purple or pink. And as you mix all these colors, you get all these different colors. So obviously the primary colors are red, green, and blue. And the secondary colors are yellow, pink, and cyan, or like this greenish color. So this greenish color, the yellowish color, and the pinkish or purplish color. So those are the secondary colors. So right here, you can see that, and what's up, guys? Welcome on the Zoom. So this is how the texture is being generated with generated. Now, if I go to object, if I Control Shift left click to object, you could see that here, the 0 or the origin point is not starting here. It's starting in the center right here. So on object, it starts in the middle of the object. And then it goes from 0 to 1 on the X right here, 0 to 1 on the Z right here, and in side view, 0, 0 to 1 on the Y-axis, etc. And then right here, it's going from 0 to -1 right here. So now, if we take a look at this, if we plug the generated into the separate XYZ, the separate XYZ is going to separate out this into the X, Y, and Z channels. So if I Control Shift left click to the X channel, you could see that we only have the X axis here, where it's going from 0 right here. Again, 0 all the way here is 0. And it's going to 1 right here. So it goes from 0 to 1. Now, if I change this to object, remember, with object, the origin point of the material is in the middle. So if I change it to object, you can see that it's now going from 0 right here. So it's going from 0 here to 1 here, as you guys can see. So the separate XYZ node is going to separate out the X, Y, and Z channels individually. So if I Control Shift left click to the Y, you can see if I go to side view, we have that right here. It's going from 0 to 1 on the Y. And on generated, it's going to start at the corner or at the beginning, 0 to 1. And same thing with Z, 0 to 1. And if we change it to object, it's going to start in the middle right here, 0 to 1. So that's very cool. Now, if you combine this with a color ramp, by the way, does anyone have any questions on that so far? Anyone have questions on that so far? How to make waterfalls in realistic way, not water. I need a waterfall. I actually did a tutorial on making waterfall in Blender a couple years ago, and I will never do it again because the water simulation in Blender is absolutely horrible. That's the one thing in Blender I don't like, water simulation. It just breaks all the time. But yeah, I do have a waterfall tutorial that may help you. I'll look for it here and send it to you after. But yeah. Does anyone have any questions on what I just went over? If there's a question on what something means, why something is the way it is, etc. No? All right, so here again, the separate XYZ is going to separate out these coordinates. You can see right here on the coordinates, these are purple sockets. Purple sockets are vector sockets. So a vector is basically information that contains X, Y, and Z information. So these contain X, Y, and Z information. As you can see right there, we have X, Y, and Z information. This X, Y, and Z information is plugged into here. And you could see that the output of these is gray. Now, a gray output is called a float. And a float is basically just a number that can have a decimal. So 1.1 is a float, 2.3 is a float, 0.2 is a float. These are all floats. And you could see that this is a float because on the X, it's outputting a value between right here, -1 to 0 right here to 1, as you can see. It's going from -1 to 1. If we put it to generated, generated, on generated, it's going from 0 right here to 1. And then all the in-between values, we have like 0.5 here, 0.4, 0.3. So these are all floats. I feel like I'm in class right now. Does that make sense, students? I'm just kidding. All right. Does anyone have any questions on what I just explained? All right, cool. So now what we're able to do, let me erase this, is we could separate out the individual channels. And then if we add, let's say, a color ramp after this, we could, for example, let me just delete that. We could now move this exactly how we want to move it. How awesome is that? We could even add more color stops. For example, I could control left click, add more stops, and I could create some kind of patterns right here if I so choose. Pretty cool. I could also change this color ramp to constant, and now you could start to see we get some pretty powerful things going on with nodes. So, if you want to create, I don't know what that could be, but it could be something. The Thatcher Cardner says, makes sense. Awesome, awesome. So that is the separate XYZ. Now, the combine XYZ is similar, but instead of separating them, it combines them. So right here, you're able to basically take these separate channels and combine them back into a vector. Again, a vector contains X, Y, and Z. And you can see that here, this vector is broken down into its individual channels. So the separate XYZ takes the vector, splits them into 3 channels. The combine XYZ takes the 3 channels and combines it back into a vector. So for example, if I were to place this right here and plug all 3 of these back in, we would get the same result as the original because we're separating them out and then combining them and nothing has changed. But what's cool is that in between these 2 nodes, we could do things to the vectors individually. So for example, I could add a math node, and drop it, let's say, in between the X vector right there. And I could influence just the X vector. And then it's combined back into there, as you can see right there. So that's pretty cool. So now I'm only influencing the X vector. As you can see, only the red is moving. If I alt left click this to remove it and put it in a Z, now we're only influencing the Z vector or the blue right there, as you could see. Pretty cool. So let me know if that makes sense, Gutam. It looks more like mathematic class. Breaking Bad style. This is chemistry. This is chemistry, ladies and gentlemen. Say my name. All right. So does anyone have any questions on that? The separate XYZ node is really cool and very useful. I use it quite a bit. The combine XYZ node, I use it sometimes, but not as often as the separate XYZ. All right. Anyone have any questions regarding that? Let me check YouTube and all that good stuff. Nope. Okay. Cool. All right. So next, let me see. Let me know if anyone has questions on that. And then there was somebody who had a question. All right. So Ab says particle effect when, let's say, a jet flies by water and the water or sand. All right, so we could do that. Excuse me. So Ab is asking kind of an effect for when a jet flies by water or sand. So here, I'll one second. I gotta leave to explain the particle thing. I'll watch the recording later. Suggest some tutorials for motion graphics. I don't have any tutorials in mind for motion graphics. So, are you talking about 3D animation or like VFX? Is that what you're talking about? As far as VFX, I don't really have it with Blender and Adobe After Effects. Oh, my friend, I wouldn't know. I'm sorry. I have a lot of Blender tutorials and courses, but as far as After Effects, I have no idea. I would try YouTube and just YouTubing it. And yeah, that could give you a good result. Use the all nodes and explain it step by step. What do you mean the all nodes? Are you saying go over all the nodes? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying, Venu? Go over all the nodes step by step? We'll be here for days. All right, so I'm going to show something cool with the paint effect, guys. So you can use this for like a kind of water displacement effect. So Ab was asking like if a jet flies by and it's displacing water or whatever. So for example here, guys, if I hit Shift A and add a plane, he has a course on Udemy already, Venu. Thank you, Yash. Yeah. If you want to learn every single node there is, I have a course, like Yash said, on Udemy. It goes over every single node in depth. I think that node course is around 40 hours or something. But it goes over every single shader node and every single compositing node. I also have one on geometry nodes. All right. So here I'm going to show how to do a water displace effect, kind of like if a jet is flying by. You could also use this for different effects as well. Again, there's many ways you could go about this, but I'm just going to show you a simple, cool way using the paint physics. So right here, guys, and this is the paint physics is not used that often, but right here, if I have a plane, I could go to the physics tab, and right here we have dynamic paint right here. So dynamic paint. Right here for dynamic paint, we have two different types. We have a canvas and a brush. The canvas is obviously what the brush is going to be affecting, and the brush is going to be the object affecting the canvas. So I want the floor to be canvas. I'm then going to click on Add Canvas right here. Then I'm going to hit Shift A, and I'm going to get let's say a UV sphere right here. And I'm going to scale it down in edit mode. Maybe a little bit more. I'm then going to bring it to the side, and I want to animate this. So right here, I'm going to add a keyframe right here. So a keyframe, by the way, they did change how to add keyframes in Blender 4.1. When you hit I, you can see it doesn't bring up the menu anymore. It just adds a keyframe for the keying set that is enabled. Then I'm going to go forward a couple frames and hit G and X and move it forward and insert another keyframe. So now you can see we have it moving forward like so. So now, if I want this to affect the canvas, what do I need to do, guys? I feel like this is Blue's Clues. Where's the clue? So obviously, I need to add a dynamic paint to this and change it from canvas to brush. And I'm going to click Add Brush. All right. So now we have this right here. Now for this, I want this brush to actually displace this geometry. So I'm going to change it from painting on it to displace. And now if I play it, you can see we don't get much. And that's because this mesh doesn't have enough geometry. So if I go into edit mode, I'm going to right click, subdivide, And the bottom left, I'm going to increase the number of subdivisions. And then I'm going to right click subdivide again and increase it to like 2. So now if I play this, you can see it displaces the mesh like so. Pretty cool. Now on here, on top of instead of displace, we also have wave right here. So if I play wave, you can see that we get, or if I select wave instead of displace, you can see that we get this water rippling effect. So now if you have, let's say, a jet flying above the water. So here, guys, I'm going to make the most amazing jet you've ever seen. Get ready. All right, here we go. The most amazing jet ever. And all right, I'm done. That's my jet. All right, let me at least add some wings. So let me add some wings. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's my jet, guys. So let's say you have this jet here that's flying above the water. So here, and maybe just to make it more interesting, I'm gonna, well, actually, no, let's not go there. So I'm just gonna insert a keyframe here, go to frame, let's say 50, and make this fly above the water, insert another keyframe. So now we have this right here. So it's not moving fast enough, honestly. So I'm going to move the keyframe down. There we go. And so let's say this jet is flying near the water and it's causing this ripple effect. You could have a second object actually causing the ripple effect. And then with this object, we could just hide it and obviously hide it in the render as well. So I would deselect it in render. And now we have the jet affecting the water. How awesome is that? Now, obviously, you could adjust the timing, tweak the timing, etc. Obviously, make a better jet because it's quite terrible. But there you go, Ab. That is how you can go about creating a water ripple effect if a jet is flying above. You could do the same thing with sand or whatever you want. Obviously, you could then add particles or fluid simulation for some water to jump out. Ooh, that's interesting, Liam says. Yeah, it's pretty cool. A lot of people don't use the paint effect. It's actually really, really fun to use. You could then also select your brush, and I could adjust the keyframes here. So I could kind of adjust when the keying happens and everything. But yeah, guys, so that's a really cool, simple, easy, and really fun way to kind of create a ripple effect like that. Does anyone have any questions regarding that? Going once, going twice. Leon says smiley face. Awesome. I like it. Smiley face is always good, I think. All right. So that is that. Of course, with the paint effect, you could also make it actually paint on your surface instead. So right here, I don't even know if I remember how to make it paint. Let me check. Format, vertex, paint. Let me check something. It's been a while since I've done I think I need to unwrap it. Let me check something. I think I need to do image sequence. Yeah, I'm forgetting how to do the painting effect, but I think I need to unwrap it or something. It's been a while since I've done the actual painting on there. I think you need to also be in rendered viewport engine and cycles, maybe. Let me unwrap it. All right, so does anyone have any other questions as I mess around with this? And questions going once, going twice. This is bothering me that I can't remember how to make it actually paint on here? Let me see. Well, anyways. Okay. As soon as the live is over. All right. Does anyone have any other questions regarding anything in Blender? Anything at all. It could be shader nodes, compositing, geometry nodes, animation, whatever you want. Whatever you want. I think it's... All right, guys. We're going to stop the live stream. I'm going to go figure this out. No, I'm kidding. It's bothering me so much because I've done it so many times. And right now, I don't know if they changed something. I'm probably doing something wrong, but either way. All right. Oh, yeah. I think UV texture maybe. All right. Well, anyways. All right. Anyone have any other questions regarding anything? Teach about sculpturing. Yes, my friend. So that's going to be the live tutorial. The live tutorial is going to be about sculpting, as we are doing a sculpting series this week. How can we add some more effects like foam above water? For foam above water, you can use the fluid sim. I really don't like the fluid sim in Blender. I have so many issues with it. I vowed to never use it again. But if you really want to check out fluid sim and how to add foam, right here, if I just add a cube, for example, I could go to Object, Quick Effects, and I could select Quick Liquid right here. 5 hours later. And you can see that now I have some water effect right here going. And if we go to the fluid, you could see that the fluid, let me select it. Where is it? The fluid right here, as you can see, you could add under particles right here. You could add spray, foam, and bubbles. And these are actual particles. So if you go to the particle settings right here, you can see you have the particles for foam, you have the particles for spray, etc. I actually did a couple of tutorials of this a couple of years ago on how to do like an ocean with spray and foam and stuff like that. But I don't like the water sim in Blender. It's always breaking for me, and it always has issues. So I have vowed to never use it again. You can see right here, if you enable mesh, so on your settings, if you enable mesh, your water will actually be a mesh. And then here, you can see that you have the foam. As you can see right here, this is like the foam particles. So for example, if you wanted foam, I could just add an icosphere. So like an icosphere right here. So I have this icosphere. And if I go to the particle settings and I go to the foam, I could render it instead of a halo. I could select object and I could select the icosphere. And now you can see that I got a bunch of foam in here. Now, obviously I could put the scale down, but now we have a bunch of foam with our water, as you can see right there. And again, of course, most of it comes in the texture or material that you give to the icosphere. But now you could see we got a bunch of foam. You could do the same for bubbles and for the spray as well. So right here, as you can see with our water, we got a bunch of foam particles, as you can see right there. Let me know if that makes sense or if I just went way too fast on that. Basically, you add a fluid simulation, and under your domain box or under your fluid simulation, you go to particles and you enable spray, foam, and bubbles, or whichever one you want. And in the particles, you'll go to the foam and add whatever object. And again, obviously right now it looks terrible because it's just a bunch of circles, but it will come in how you texture your foam icosphere. Yash says, I got that. Cool, cool. Good question, and terrible question at the same time because I hate the fluid sim. I mean, fluid sim is fun until it's not fun because it keeps breaking. So it's a double-edged sword, guys. The other particles and simulations work great, but the fluid sim is the one thing in Blender that I feel doesn't work good. All right, great question, though. Does anyone have any other questions before we get into the live tutorial on sculpting? Any other questions regarding anything, guys? Again, the questions can be simple, complex. When will Blender fix it? Yash says. Well, actually, a lot of the fluid and simulations is with geometry nodes now. So you have geometry node simulations. I haven't messed around with it enough to do a fluid sim. I would have to mess around with it a little bit more. But yeah, the fluid sims and stuff is definitely going to geometry nodes now instead. So with geometry nodes, you could create some really cool fluid effects that doesn't have those issues because it works much more reliable. Yeah. All right. Does anyone have any questions regarding anything? Otherwise, we will get into the live tutorial. I'll give it 4 more minutes for any questions. Any questions? Going once, going twice. By the way, guys, the official site for this community is blendermania3d.com. So blendermania3d.com. Let me post the link. That is the official site for the community. We have these every weeknight, guys. Every weeknight. And on Saturday and Wednesday, we have a live contest. C40 says, thanks for doing this. I probably butchered your name. Anytime, brother. Hey, how can I use the add-on like Box Cutter and some other add-on in Blender? How can you use it? How to sculpt a normal face, Venu says. Venu, we're about to get into sculpting here, and we're actually sculpting a face. It's not a normal face, but I'll answer some of your questions here in a second, Venu, because we're about to do some sculpting. How can I use the add-on like Box Cutter? Well, if you want to add any add-ons, just go to Edit, Preferences, and under Add-ons, you could search for it. So here you could search for any add-ons. If it's not built in, like Box Cutter, you could click on Install, and you would just load in the zipped file for Box Cutter. And then you could use it that way. So again, edit preferences out. My question is, what are your thoughts on Maya? And did you just say the M word on the live? No, I'm just kidding. My question is, what are your thoughts on Maya? And would you say Blender absolutely beats it in everything? Dude, I started with Maya and I didn't like it. I hated the modeling process on it. It was just terrible. I didn't like it. Now, obviously, Maya is the standard in the industry, but Blender has started to kind of take over as well, because in the industry, Blender is used more and more. I mean, shoot, there was a whole Netflix movie made in Blender. So, yeah, I mean, every software has like its strong suits. I would say animation's strong suit is maybe animation. I would say Maya's strong suit is animation. Just like ZBrush's strong suit is sculpting, and Houdini's strong suit is simulations. But Blender is an overall program, and it does really well in all fields, honestly. With animation modeling, the only field it's not good at is the freaking fluid simulation. The fluid simulation is terrible. And that's about it. But yeah, other than that, Blender is awesome. It's top tier. Hey, dude, what's up, Mr. Snow? Meanwhile, I'm learning both morning Blender and at night Maya. It's all good, Yash. A lot of what you learn in Maya, you could translate to Blender. I know people who have switched from Maya to Blender, and the skills you learn in Maya, you could translate to Blender and vice versa. So they're both tools, but the skills are relatively the same, because when you build the skill in one, you could translate that to the other, because again, they're just skills. It's like, if you do one martial arts, it might be a little bit easier to do another one because you've learned the flexibility or certain movements and stuff like that. I don't know, man. I'm learning Blender from past 2 years. Still couldn't do anything by my own. Just see some tutorials and try to make what they do. I don't find what to do. Well, again, Shravan, that all depends. It depends on how you've been learning it, how many hours you've been putting in those 2 years, and many other factors. So yes, if you learn it a certain way that's not the optimal, For example, going to going to YouTube and learning tutorials and stuff is great, but sometimes it could be a little bit fragmented all over the place. And then it also depends how many hours you put in those 2 years. Because I remember in the past, I'm like, man, I did Blender for like a whole year, but then if I looked at it, I didn't put that many hours into it. Could you show me how to make a parent object? Um, so yeah, Shravan, it all depends. I feel if you learn it the proper way with some good tutorials or good courses or good mentorship, you could have a pretty good handle on Blender within the first 6 months. And definitely within a year, you'll be pretty proficient in Blender. And there's always stuff to learn. I'm still learning after 15 years of doing Blender. So, would you show me how to make a parent object? Sure. So to make a parent object, and then we're going to get into the tutorial. Right here, if I have two objects, if I select this one and shift select this one, if I hit Control P, I could set the parent to the object. So basically, the first object you select is the child, and any other objects after that is the child, and the last object you select is the parent. So if you hit Control P and object, the last object that was selected will be the parent. Yash says, I know about 3ds Max and SolidWorks a lot, but trying to do new as they all are parametric. Some tips about freelancing. You'll have to be. Do you have a little bit more specificity on that, Gutam? Like that's a little broad for me to answer. What kind of tips regarding freelancing exactly? All right. Once I answer this, guys, we're gonna get into the tutorial. The tutorial is gonna be on sculpting, which is gonna be awesome. So here, guys, I'm gonna open my project file. Guys, if you've been following along, you should have a sculpting project. If you don't, you could download mine. So if you don't, you could download mine. Let me see. So right here, Sculpt 1. So you could feel free to download mine. I thought we had, did we not do a live the other day or something? What happened? I guess we didn't. All right. Hey, I have a question. I was using geometry nodes trying to create a low poly rainbow cookie, but I wasn't able to add the materials to the nodes. Any tips? Did you add a set material node, George? Like how to get client, Gutam asks. All right. So first things first, Gutam. I mean, that's still kind of a broad question. I would definitely narrow it down. But Gutam is asking how to get a client for freelancing. Again, that's still a very broad question because I don't know what you're freelancing. If you're freelancing like models, assets, game engines, etc. I don't know what platform you're trying to do. But as far as just general tips, I would say have a good portfolio is the first thing. Because obviously the first thing clients are going to see is your portfolio. So have a good portfolio to show the clients. Another thing is, and again, guys, you have to think of things that will differentiate you from other people. So just off the top of my head, I'm thinking like if I'm freelancing and, I'm on a freelance website, I have my website, or I'm on Fiverr, if someone wants a freelance job, I'm thinking, how do I differentiate myself from others? What I would do is on my bio, I'd say like, once you book the job, we'll jump on a Zoom or Skype call and we'll talk for 15 minutes about the project. And it makes it much more personal. And people would like that, and they'd pay more, and they'd be more likely to go with you because there's a personal touch to it, and you show that you actually care and you're listening to them. So I would jump on every client. With every client, I would jump on a quick Zoom call. It doesn't even have to be long, 10 minutes. See what they want. If they want, of course, they don't have to jump on a Zoom call, but that's an option. And then they could talk to me about exactly what they want, their vision, and I could get to know them a little bit as a person as well. And you build that relationship. So again, you have to differentiate yourself a little bit, but that's what I would do. Um, Now you may not want to do that. So if you don't want to do that, like I said, I suggest a good portfolio, a good thumbnail image for wherever they're clicking. If it's on Fiverr, you have one thumbnail image to capture their attention. So I would get a good thumbnail image. And yeah, good reviews also helps because then people see the good reviews and they see that you do good work. So hopefully that helps. I'm not sure I added the material to the original object. George, if you want to go to blendermania3d.com, that's the official site over there. You could post in the forums, post in the Q&A forums the issue with your .blend, and I'll take a look at it later. Vinu says, come to the sculpture place. That's funny. All right, guys, we're going to get into sculpting here. So you guys should have this sculpt or something similar like this right here. If you don't, I'm going to put my sculpt, my .blend on blendermania3.com in the public chat. So if you want to download this to follow along, download the file. So here, I'm going to upload the file there. So if anyone wants to download it and follow along, or if you have your own, go for it. We're going to go over a couple more brushes here, and we're going to refine this sculpt. So again, blendermania3.com. If you go there in the public chat in the top right of the site, you could download the .blend. If you don't have an account, just sign up. It's free. Hello, what's up, Snowflake Animation? Wait, Snowflake Animation and Mr. Snow, two different people or the same person? I guess two different people. They both have snow names. All right, Mr. Snow. All right, guys, so if you have your Blender file, open it. If you want to use mine and follow along, open that one. I'll give another 30 seconds, and then we will start the live tutorial. Once again, guys, thank you, mate. I'm currently not at home, but sure will do. Thanks for your support. Anytime, brother. Yeah, just post it on the forums, and I'll take a look at it. Guys, make sure to join in the Zoom. You'll be able to see in full screen and see much better and all that good stuff. I'm posting the link and how to join the Zoom one more time. It'll be easier to follow along. But let's get right to it. All right. So in the last video or in the last live, by the way, guys, if you miss anything from here, Mr. Snow says different. Oh, okay, good to know. I figured, but who knows? By the way, guys, if you miss anything here on my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, the shorts that are uploaded are the sculpting series shorts. So if you missed making this part, you can watch the first video. Right now, we're about to do the second part of that video. And today I posted the third part. So maybe we'll do the second and third part today. All right, so last time we took a look at the draw brush and how to do that. The next brush we're going to take a look at, make sure dynamic topology is enabled. We're going to take a look at the snake hook brush right here. So the snake hook brush, as the name implies, is going to grab and snake hook out the geometry, as you can see there. You can see when I hit Control-Z, dynamic topology gets undone. So let me re-enable that. I had an issue using the array modifier in order to do the arches for the rainbow. How can I use array and scale down the next copy as a rainbow would? Sorry about the off question. George, if you want, because right now I'm in the tutorial portion, but if you want to go ahead and post that in the forums, I'll answer that question as well. But basically, if you want to scale them down as they go with the array, you would just change it to object offset and add an empty with the object offset and scale down the empty. So hopefully that helps. But again, post your .blend. I can help you with that. But again, you would enable object offset on the array, add an empty, and scale that down. All right, so here you can see that with the snake hook brush, when I initially click this, you can see that it adds geometry. So right here, as you can see, when I initially click it, it adds geometry with dynamic topology. But as I grab it and pull it out, you can see that no geometry is added. So you want to be careful because as you go far, or if you go too far, the mesh starts to disappear, as you can see there. So right here, how to make it smoother. So if you want to make your sculpt smooth, you could just go back to object mode. So Control Tab, go to object mode, right click, shade smooth. And then we could go back to sculpt mode and re-enable dynamic topology. Good question. So right here, what I'm going to do with the snake hook brush, I'm going to go into front view. And again, F key is to change the size of the snake hook brush. I'm just going to go ahead and snake hook out some kind of horns or kind of spikes from the side of the head like this. So go ahead and do that as well. So just something like that. A cute little monster. Let me smooth that out. So now we have that right there. Very cool. So that's the snake hook brush. Excuse me. I had something in my throat there. Jeez. All right. So that's the snake hook brush. The next brush is the pose brush. The pose brush is kind of like an armature. So this brush, as the name implies, allows for you to pose things. So right here, if I hover my mouse over here, you can see I have this little segment that runs down. And this is basically, if I left click and drag my mouse, you can see we could now pose different parts of the sculpt. Pretty cool. So this basically adds a temporary armature, as you can see right there, and it will allow for you to pose your sculpt just like that. So now we could kind of pose it however we want. Pretty awesome. So that is the pose brush. Then we have the grab brush. Now the grab brush, as the name implies, allows for you to grab things. So right here, I could grab the nostrils, for example, bring them up, kind of grab the nose, maybe give it a little bit more definition, grab the eyebrows. Once again, F is to change the size. Shift F is to change the strength. So now I could kind of just grab things like so. So those are the three brushes we're taking a look at here. Again, the snake hook, the pose brush, and the grab brush. Now we're going to go back to the draw brush and we're going to detail this a little bit more. So here, once again, if I go over here, by the way, because I want to detail it more, you can see we have a detail scale. Now this detail scale, the higher it is, the less detailed it will be. And the lower it is, the more detail or the more geometry there will be. So right now you can see, let me go to the back. If I draw here, you can see it adds this much detail. If I change this to 5 or put it lower, you can see now it adds this much detail. So I'm going to put this to 5, and with the draw brush, again, F is to change the size of your brush, Shift F for the strength. We could draw. Also, if you hold down Control, it will invert it. Keep in mind that the further away you are, the less detail there will be. So if you're closer up, you'll have even more detail. So right here, I'm just going to add a little bit more detail. I could hold down Shift to smooth it out. And right here, for example, around the horns, I could hold down Control to invert it and basically subtract some geometry around the horns right here. And again, you can feel free to do whatever you want. I could then hold down Shift, smooth that out a little bit. Now my smooth brush is too strong, so I'm going to go to the smooth brush, put the strength down, and go back to the draw brush. When you hold down shift, it automatically switches to the smooth brush. So right here, I'm just going to draw around the horns, kind of smooth it as I go, indent the horns like so, around there. Again, guys, you could sculpt it however you want. You don't have to follow me. This is your sculpt. So kind of do your own thing if you want. Hold down shift, kind of smooth that out. Smooth that out. By the way, guys, please tell Easy, Felix says. Please tell Easy. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to tell. It's easy. Is that what I was supposed to tell? All right. So here, I'm going to continue around here, like so, like so, like that, and then smooth it out right here. Then over here, I could add some more detail. For example, around the eyes right here. And again, guys, with sculpting, it's one brush stroke at a time. So right here, I'm holding down control. I'm just drawing, holding down control, and smoothing out. That's all I'm doing. Right here, maybe I want to increase this a little bit for the lips. Maybe give the lips a little bit more of a look. And then right here for the nose area, maybe raise this up like that. Hold down control, indent this in, smooth it out like so, and smooth that out like that. I feel like he should have bigger lip, whatever it's called. I don't know the technical name of that. And then right here, I could inflate the lips a little bit like so. And again, guys, it's just one small brush stroke for man. And there you go. By the way, something that I didn't do in the short, we could also add some teeth with the snake hook. So I could get the snake hook brush. And by the way, I drew on here with the new resolution. So there's more resolution here now because I drew on it with the resolution of 5. So you can see that it's more dense here. So now with the snake hook brush, I could snake hook out some teeth or fangs right here, just like that. And same thing from the top. So from the top right here, I could get a single tooth right here and like that. Look at this cute guy. Said no one. Although, yeah, it kind of reminds me of, I don't know. Reminds me of something, but I don't know what. So now we got some little teeth and fangs. Brilliant. So that is pretty much going to be it for this part of the sculpting. Let's go ahead and also add the eyes. Why not? So I'm going to hit Shift A. We're going to add in a UV sphere. You usually want to add the eyes separate. So I'm going to add a UV sphere. In edit mode, I'm going to scale this down and bring it over. Bring it out right here. RX 90. Rotate it so that this part is facing forward. Scale it down and just add the eyes right here. Obviously, right-click Shade Smooth. For the other eye, I'm just going to add a mirror modifier right there. And then just adjust the eyes as you need. Like so. That way we have the eyeball. And there we go. We have our creepy little monster. Now, we're not done, guys. We are going to detail this a lot more. But that is going to be it for tonight for this part of the tutorial. Tomorrow, we'll be detailing this even more, adding like scales and stuff like that, and adding a lot more detail and adjusting the eyes and everything and a bunch more. And then we will adjust the head. Also, another thing I want to do on the head is too round. So I'm going to get the grab brush and I'm going to scale it up quite a bit. And I'm just going to kind of adjust the head so that's not so spherical looking and weird. So like that, right there, and maybe smooth it out. And then maybe right here, I want some kind of alien looking ear type thing. So I'm just going to kind of add a indentation right here. So just holding down control like that. And then right here, I'm just going to just something like that. That way it's not so empty on the side of the head. And smooth it out a bit. Actually, I don't like that. I don't like the smooth. All right. Oh, I just realized dynamic topology wasn't enabled. No wonder. I'm like, why is it not adding the geometry like I want? All right, there we go. Like that. There we go. A little bit like that. All right. Does anyone have any questions about what we just went over? Again, guys, make sure to save it as we will continue tomorrow. But does anyone have any questions? By the way, guys, keep in mind, every time you go to object mode and do stuff and go back into sculpt mode, dynamic topology will be off, so make sure to re-enable it. All right, I'm going to save this incrementally. Does anyone have any questions regarding sculpting? Pretty cool, man, Julian says. Thank you, brother. Tomorrow, we will continue with the sculpting. Anyone have any questions? Going once, going twice. Sold. All right, guys. So with that, again, we do this live Q&A and tutorial every weeknight. The official site, if you want to share your work, if you want to get help, there's a public chat, a forum, is blendermania3d.com. You doesn't answer my question. Okay, what is your PC specs? Sorry, I didn't see your question until now, Snowflake. I was in the sculpting mode. So Snowflake animation, can you tell me the difference in remesh and dynamic topology? So, sure, let me answer that quickly. Let me go to general over here. So, Snowflake animation is asking, can you show me or tell me the difference between remesh and dynamic topology? So, yeah, great question. So, dynamic topology here, and I'm just on a new scene. If I go to sculpt mode over here and enable dynamic topology, you can see that with dynamic topology, it's only going to add geometry where I'm sculpting. So it's dynamically adding geometry. So there's geometry here, but not over here. And if I draw here, it adds it here, but not anywhere else. And this is why I love dynamic topology, because it only adds geometry where you need it. Because let's say you need this level of geometry for the body, but then for the face, you need like really, really tiny geometry and detail. Well, that's great, but you won't want all this tiny geometry and detail on the whole body because, first of all, it's useless, but second of all, it's going to slow down your computer. So what I suggest is dynamic topology. It's my favorite. I like it the best. But could also, up here, we have a remesh option right here. So remesh right here is basically going to go ahead and remesh our whole object. So right here, let me go to the remesh. For remesh, you need to make sure to turn off dynamic topology because you can see if it's enabled, we can't click it. So turn off dynamic topology. And remesh, here we have a voxel size. This is basically the amount of geometry that's going to be remeshed. The lower the number, the more geometry or vertices you'll have. And right here, if I just click on remesh, you can see that basically it's no longer triangle. Sculpting, you don't really care if it's triangles, honestly, because you have so much geometry. But you can see that here it's more of a grid-like structure. But the thing is, with remesh, we now have the same amount of geometry everywhere. So now I could sculpt on here. Let me go to solid view because I can't see anything. So now I could sculpt on here. But as you can see, I have the same amount of geometry everywhere. So let's say I wanted very fine detail here. Well, I could remesh it to a smaller voxel size right here and remesh. But now I have that tiny geometry everywhere where I might not want it over here. So I personally like dynamic topology better. But remesh has its place. Although I've never really used it that much because dynamic topology I feel is much better because again, you only have to add topology and geometry where you actually need it. So hopefully that answers your question, Snowflake Animation. As far as what is your PC specs, don't ask me that. Like I said, I have a $500 laptop that I'm using right now. So I need to build a new computer. It's been a while since I have, but yeah, I need to upgrade. So my PC specs are non-existent at the moment. All right. So hopefully that answers your question, man. Dynamic topology dynamically adds topology. And good morning, brother, with Rose Lassie. What's up, brother? Nah, dude, I'm Mango Lassie, man. I haven't had Rose Lassie. Have a great night, fam. See you, Julian. Pretty sure you already left, but. So there you go. Dynamic topology. Snowflake says, thank you. Anytime, man. So I prefer dynamic topology when I can. The other one is, like I said, it depends. Sometimes remesh can be good especially if you need it to be a grid-like structure. Now for sculpting, like I said, you could have triangles because sculpting, it doesn't matter because it's such a high dense mesh. It really doesn't matter. But you'll find a time and place for either one. All right, guys. So with that, we are done for the evening. Hope everyone had a great time. Hope everyone learned something. At least you learned maybe how to delete the default cube, although I did not go over that today. Tomorrow, I promise. By the way, guys, the official site is blendermania3d.com. We'll see everyone there. Mango Lassie is always great, but it also matters that who made it. Man, I get it from this authentic Indian store restaurant place. I also get some paneer. Delicious. All right, guys. So with that, I hope everyone has a great evening, morning, or night, wherever you're dialing in from. We'll see everyone tomorrow, same time, same place. Will be another live Q&A and tutorial, and then Saturday we have a live contest. So with that, guys, keep on blending. Blendermania3d.com if you want to reach out to me, ask questions, share your work, etc. Blendermania3d.com. We'll see everyone there. Ciao for now. See you guys. Au revoir. See you guys. There's always that awkward silence where I say see you guys and then I'm ending the stream. See you guys. Yeah, so you really got the great